Welcome to the first C in the program Sail the 7 C's to Sensational Storytelling. By the way, if you can record yourself saying that 10 times in a row, I'll send you something. I don't know what it'll be, maybe a PDF or book or something, but that would be great promo, but I digress. The first C in storytelling is circumstances. This is where you set the stage for the audience. It tells them what's going on in your story, who's involved, and really sets up what the story is about. Now, the key to circumstances is to avoid one of the biggest mistakes that even the most seasoned professionals often make, and that is that they give too much information. Remember this as you're creating your story. You are not writing a novel. Today's audiences want you to get to the point as fast as possible, get to the key scene, and then get out. A common phrase that I use with my speech coaching clients is to arrive late and leave early. This was a term that was coined by screenwriter William Goldman back in the 1960s. What this concept is about is to enter the story as close to the climactic scene as you possibly can. Think back to my story about my client Judy. When you first heard about her, she was sitting in my office a couple of weeks after the death of her husband Jerry. We got right into our conversation after I described her so she could get a feel for where she was emotionally. We had our conversation, I handed her the check, and that was it. What most people do, as I said before, is they give way too many details. Now, what I'll do right now is share with you a quick version of that story that you just heard about Judy, but in a longer form, because I want you to contrast and see the mistake that most people make. When I first met my clients, Judy and Jerry, it was back in 1997, and they were a great couple. I always enjoyed getting together with them. They were a lot of fun. They own a business. They were doing very well, but they hadn't taken care of all their financial matters. And one of the areas I had to talk about with them was life insurance. And I hated to have those discussions. I bought into all the stereotypes about life insurance. In fact, in some of our early conversations, Jerry and Judy had to bring it up to me. And the reason was because she had some medical issues, and they were very concerned about life insurance. So I reluctantly worked with them on that, talked to them about it, but man, I did not like it. And as the years went by, we had our annual reviews, and again, always had a great time with them. Sometimes we rented them socially at our favorite restaurants or watering holes, and it was just a really good relationship. So you can imagine my shock the morning that I got a call from my friend Roger, who had actually introduced me to Jerry and Judy. Roger said, "Mike, this is bad news. Jerry died last night." "Roger, I just saw him a month ago. In fact, we just upgraded his life insurance. What happened?" "He had an aneurysm. Taking a shower, and he had an aneurysm." I was stunned. And I didn't know what to do or say. I mean, because although it was my job as a financial advisor to help Judy, Jerry was my friend. I'm going to stop the story there. Do you get the picture? All of those details were pertinent in my life, in my relationship with Jerry and Judy. However, as an audience member, do you really care when we met? All the details of our friendship, running into each other socially, or even the phone call when I found out about Jerry's death? No, you don't. Because those details are not pertinent to the point of my story, which was that I was embarrassed to sell life insurance, and that it took a catastrophic incident where I could experience the benefit of life insurance before I would change my mind. So that's the mistake that most people make. In my shortened version, you hear about Judy sitting in my office, and through a conversation you learn about Jerry's death, her fear, her terror, what she's going to do in the future without him, and then at least partially, financially, her world being turned right side up so that at least she could go through her grief, start to get her get her footing again emotionally, and then move forward. And that's the other half of arrive late, leave early. As soon as I told the story about Judy getting the check and her realization that, hey, at least financially I'm going to be okay, that's all you need to hear. Again, on the back end, many people will tell the story, and I could have told you about how 6 months after that meeting we got together, she was feeling better. She was still adjusting to not being with Jerry, but the business was taking off, and you don't need to hear that. I promise you, in most of your stories, you're probably adding too many details. And I'm not pointing fingers, because for years, I was just as guilty as anyone else. It took some fabulous training from some of the best speakers in the world to teach me to shorten it up or lose my audience. So that's what circumstances are. Here's your action step, your homework. Go back and visit your story, or if you're writing it for the first time, create the scene, or create the story right before the key scene in the story. Bring us right in to set us up for the climactic moment. Go out and test using this formula. Get some feedback. And ask specifically for feedback that says, was there too much detail before I got to the meat of the story? And did I linger too long afterwards? Am I getting to the heart of the matter? So those are circumstances. Go out and test those, and I'll see you in the next video where we'll talk all about characters. Until then, always remember, you have a story that someone needs to hear.